9 o'clock on Tuesday, October 8th, 2019, full county board meeting. Clerk will call a roll, please.
Alt. Bard.
Here.
Behrens.
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Bowers.
Here.
Kokenauer.
Here.
Crow.
Here.
Curtis.
Yeah.
Doobie. Here. Ducott. Hughes. Johnson.
Here.
McGinnis.
Here.
McTaggart. Awful.
Here.
Shure.
Here.
Sticknot. Whitlow.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Zumwalt.
Present.
17 present, 3 absent.
Okay, Mrs. Waffle.
Mr. Chairman and fellow members, we have Pastor Bart Custer from Trinity Evangelical Church in Albany, Georgia.
Good morning. Let's go a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. Most of all, Lord, we thank you for Jesus Christ, through whom we have peace, we have hope, and we have eternal life. Father, we thank you also for each person serving on this board. Lord, your word says in Psalm 91, I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. God, help us to trust you more every day. Lord, as this board meets, I pray simply for wisdom, for patience, and for effective decision making. Lord, we pray this for your glory and for the good of our county. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have a copy of the agenda in front of you. Is there a motion to approve? Mrs. Awful, seconded by Mr. Alt. Are there any questions or comments about the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the motion passes. Everyone's been sent a copy of the minutes from the September 10th, 2019 session. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Mr. Whitlow, seconded by Mr. Hughes. Any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Payroll. Is there a motion to approve the payroll? Mr. Zumwalt, is there a second? Mr. Bowman, I said. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Kokenauer.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes. Johnson.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Shure.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
17-0.
Public comments. Any public comments this morning, Mr. Johnson?
I just wanted to say I've been working on a committee since March to bring a wonderful exhibit into Iroquois County. And on October 18th, 19th, and 20th, we will be having the Hamilton Tower mobile exhibit. It'll be at the First Trust parking lot. And the Hamilton Tower exhibit is actually a 53-foot tractor trailer. It'll be coming in on October 17th. It has live documentary. It has New York firemen that were actually at the 9/11 disaster. They will be presenting all of their information. It's going to be there from the 18th, 19th, and 20th, open to the public, free, no charge. We are so excited about it. This is a wonderful opportunity for Iroquois County history. I've worked with some great people to help get this here, and I encourage all of you to come up and join us. Come and be a part of that. On Friday, it's open to area students, and we already have 700 students from Iroquois County that will be going through the exhibit. So this is an opportunity that a lot of people never get in their lifetime, to be able to go to New York and actually see this. So I encourage all of you to step up and join us. And the actual event title is Step, Stand, Salute, Character Still Counts. And I think we all keep that in the back of our mind all the time anymore. So I encourage you, I invite you, and I have flyers if anybody needs. First Trust parking lot in Muncie. Okay.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments this morning? Seeing none, we'll go to outside organization reports. Mr. Gregory isn't here. Are there any other outside organization reports? Seeing none, we'll go to committee reports, policy and procedure. Members of the county board, your committee to whom is referred policy and procedure would beg leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on September 26, 2019 at 9 a.m. Members present were Sure, Alt, and Awful. Michael McTaggart and Marvin Sticknott. Also present, Treasurer Kurt Albert, County Clerk Lisa Fancher, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, County Engineer Joel Moore, Supervisor of Assistance Bob Yergler, 911 Director Eric Raymond, EMA Director Eric Stacy, County Board Member Paul Bowers. Meeting was called to order. It was moved by Barbara Awful and seconded by Charlie Alt to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Committee chairs gave their monthly reports. County Engineer Joel Moore reported the Highway Committee will review monthly claims and an update will be given on the Ashton slab. Health Chairman Barb Awful reported the Health Committee will receive their monthly reports from the Health Department. EMA Director Eric Stacy reported on the multiple meetings he attended over the past 2 months. On August 12th, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency saw the statewide conference call to address mass shootings. The state of Illinois is looking to increase prevention capabilities. Stacy noted he was a presenter at the annual IEMA conference held September 3rd through September 5. The commodity flow study has been completed, and one of the most hazardous materials that travels on Iroquois County roads is flammable liquid. County Board Chairman John Sure gave an update on flood matters in Iroquois County, stating a Kankakee River Basin Commission meeting is being held this morning. During that meeting this morning, discussion will be held on a release of the $2.3 million from the Indiana legislature during October. Sure said petitions are currently being circulated in areas where the Iroquois County River Water Conservancy District will be established. This includes townships of Concord, Belmont, Middleport, and Iroquois. Once collected, the petitions will be presented to Judge James Kinzer, and then a hearing will have to be held. Sure said all of these steps will need to be completed in a timely manner in order for this to be on the ballot for the March primary election. Sure reminded the committee the county board portrait will be taken on November 12th, either before or after the county board meeting. Senate Bill 75 was discussed. Sure explains the bill pertains to sexual harassment training that the county will have to implement. Sure said he believes the Department of Human Rights is developing a model training program that is to be followed by everyone in the state, but that has not been released yet. There were no updates on the legalization of marijuana in Illinois. Discussion was held on the proposal from Christopher Burke Engineering. Sure reminded the committee that the proposal was discussed last month and there were unanswered questions related to the proposal. Since that time, Sure has had the opportunity to speak with a representative from Christopher Burke Engineering. The proposal, which includes their scope of services, was distributed to the committee. This is not to exceed fee for the service of $15,000. Sure noted they have already completed the executive summary of the Kankakee River Flood and Sediment Management Work Plan. Due to the lack of a quorum, the matter will be put on the full board agenda for discussion and action. Correspondence was distributed to the committee. Sure informed the committee he received an email from the Illinois State Comptroller regarding a training program being held on October 16 for issues related to the state control. Sure also received an email from the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission. On October 1, they will begin taking applications for the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Sure said information will be available in the county board office if board members are aware of individuals requiring this assistance. The committee reviewed the claims due to lack of a quorum. It was recommended to send the claims to the finance committee for approval. There was no old business. During new business, Sure reported he and county board member Chad McGinnis, along with Kankakee County Board Chairman Andy Wheeler, were in Washington DC September 17 through September 19. Sure said a meeting will be scheduled soon with all the various stakeholders in the area to discuss flood matters. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Alt and seconded by Awful to adjourn at 9:23 a.m. That motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present, and I move for the adoption of the report. Is there a second? No second. Is there any questions or comments about the report? Mr. Byers?
Yes. I make a motion that the county board portrait be taken after the November 12th meeting,
Okay,
because it said before or after, so,
right,
yeah.
okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
If at all possible, I would prefer before, since some of us have to leave to go to work.
Yeah, I think it's better if we try to figure that out going ahead.
Okay.
And we'll let everybody know exactly what we have and how it's gonna work. And that's fine with you. I'll talk to you more about it after the meeting.
Yeah, because I'll have to let the photographer know.
Right. I have some questions too that I need to get some answers on, that's exactly how we're gonna handle it.
Okay,
But everybody needs to know that we're definitely gonna do it, so.
okay, I
Don't
don't
come prepared.
okay.
Are there any other questions or comments on the report itself? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Kokenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes. Johnson.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
17-0.
Okay, you all have a copy in front of you on this proposal from Christopher Burke Engineering. Something we've discussed before. I can tell you that the matter was discussed thoroughly with Representative Bennett and also with a gentleman by the name of Paul Osmond, who's with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. Mr. Osmond reviewed the whole matter entirely and cited me for being wrong and not wanting to have it done. So I changed my course of direction and recommending that we go ahead and do this. I think it's something that we do need to get done, no matter what. So I would entertain a motion to approve this proposal. Mr. McGinnis, is there a second? Mr. Kumar. Are there any questions or comments about it? Mr. Johnson?
Is he gonna report to us, I mean, will we get some formalized things as they're moving along?
Correct, and that's part of what, when they, if you look at the scope of work here, that's part of what would be involved. I believe that would enable them to come here at least 2 times. One time to maybe present to the board and another time for a meeting for the general public. Mr. Barnes?
Yes, is this the group that gave the report over at the Indiana meeting that we attended?
Yes,
Okay.
and it's all tied in together.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes,
Mr. Kokenauer?
I guess on the map, it doesn't have a page number, but the map, is this the map of what the work, where the work is being done? So that does not include us in Iroquois County? I guess I'm a little confused. It's after page 6. It's-
This map here.
Yes.
That's just showing
Well, that's not
that's showing
showing
the
the-
Kankakee River watershed, but our watershed is included in the gray area, even though it's
So this is not just the only work that's being done.
Right.
Gotcha. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for the clarification. I think this was the only work being done.
Any other questions? If not, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Bowman,
No.
Bowers,
Yes.
Omenauer,
No.
Crowe,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Johnson, McGinnis,
Yes.
Awful,
Yeah.
Sure,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Bard,
Yes.
Barron's.
Yes.
Motion carried 15-2.
Next we'll go to negotiation. Members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred negotiations with Beverly to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on September 13, 2019 at 11:20 a.m. Members present were Sharon Alt, absent were Paul Bowers, Paul Duquette, and Marvin Stickman. Also present were Sheriff Derek Hagan, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, Board of Labor Legal Representative Dave Hibben, FOP members, and FOP Legal Representative Jeff Berg. The meeting was called to order. The committee met to discuss ongoing negotiation activities. The meeting adjourned at 12:55 a.m., all of which is respectfully submitted. Signed by all members present, this report being presented for information only. Next we go. Members of the county board, your committee to whom was referred negotiations with agreed to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on September 26, 2019 at 10:13 a.m. Members present were Sure, All, Fowler, Duquette, and Stickman. Also present were Sheriff Derek Hagan, Finance Manager Joe Johnson, Board Labor Legal Representative Dave Hibben, FOP members, and FOP Legal Representative Jeff Burke. Meeting was called to order. The committee met to discuss ongoing negotiation activities. Meeting adjourned at 11:11 a.m., all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by all members present for information only. Now, that as a result of that meeting, we reached a tentative agreement with the union for the 3 contracts, corrections, deputies, and sergeants and lieutenants. You all have a copy of the highlights, the things that were changed in those contracts in front of you. So the union has already ratified this agreement and these changes, and then it's up to us to do the same. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to ratify this agreement, and then we can discuss this. I'll move. Mr. Bowers, second by Mr. Young. Are there questions or comments regarding what these changes are? It's quite lengthy. I hesitate to want to read the whole thing for you. Probably some of the highlights are that the fair share deduction has been taken out because of Supreme Court decisions regarding that. All of the FOP members will be provided with a gym membership and will be reimbursed up to $50 a month. That's included in every month. There's also language in there about testing, just in the event that one of the FOP members discharges their weapon during the performance of their duty, they have to be drug tested. There's other language in there about staffing at the jail, being able to cash out comp time, the use of sick time, and then the wages. when you look at the schedule for the wages and you factor in these things because of the steps, the increases, the percentage wise become quite high. But that's something we really don't have any control over. That steps is part of the contract. We're stuck with it.
Did you say we're supposed to have a copy of it in front of us? Am I missing it?
No, I don't have one either. I guess we're all trying to find it.
Jill, do you have it?
I can go make copies for sure.
I guess we'll do that. I guess we'll come back to it when she gets copied. I had given instructions.
It's okay.
Apparently that didn't happen, so I apologize.
Well, I have copies.
Oh, all of that.
I'll see it. Maybe I got the originals left on my desk.
Nobody else has a copy? All right, we'll come back to it. We'll go to finance. Mr. Young? Mr. Rawls, beg your pardon, but Mr. Young.
I'll hand it to him, he won't take it.
Two reports we had for this meeting. Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, the committee to whom was referred finance to beg leave to submit the following report on the program. The committee met at the Administrative Center September 20th at 10 a.m. Members present were McTaggart, Flowers, Curtis, Dignog, and Johnson. Joe Young was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Scher, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, 911 Director Eric Freeman, Sheriff Derek Hayden, and Wendy Davis. With the Times Republic, the meeting was called to order. It was moved by Flowers and seconded by all to approve the agenda. Motion carried by voice vote. There was no public comment. Committee began discussing on the fiscal year 20 budget, which is currently at a shortfall of $95,605. Finance Chairman Michael McTaggart explained the changes, including the amounts are an updated property tax dollar amount from Superintendent Assessment Bob Berger and the contribution from general fund to joint dispatch decreasing from 167,000 to 120,000. McTaggart reported the committee will meet to review and make decision on the wage increases. Finance Manager Jill Johnson provided them with a spreadsheet of proposed salaries at a 2% increase, salaries at a 2.5% increase, and salaries at a 3% increase. McTaggart noted last year salaries were increased by 2%, and the employees received a 2.5% increase. The group insurance is at an increase of 7.5% through the owner, with Homestar Insurance will present information to the committee on October 3rd. The original increase was 17%. Werner is also going to look into locking the county's rate at 7.5% for the next 3 years. Due to the increase in group insurance, the committee opted to tentatively increase salaries at 2.5%. McTaggart noted the automation fund from Circuit Clerk Lisa Hines and County Clerk Lisa Thatcher are both negotiable. Currently, Hines has contributed $25,000 from both of her automation funds, and Thatcher has contributed $5,000 from one of her automation funds. Finance
Finance Manager Jill Johnson will speak with Hines and Patrick about the additional contribution to the general fund. Sheriff Derek Harrigan informed committee he has approximately $17,000 in reductions to his budget. Hagan said he is comfortable with reducing service contracts to $10,000, leads by about $6,000, household supplies by $1,000. Hagan also added there should be substantial savings in service contracts due to snow removal being done in-house this fiscal year. Committee also reviewed the capital improvements and it suggested to remove the phone upgrades for this fiscal year. McTaggart stated the public safety fund has a balance of $420,000 in lead seats and average of $421,000 per year. Hagan has requested $295,600 from the fund for 2 new officers, 3 new vehicles, and equipment for the vehicles. EMA Director Terry Cece has requested an annual IPAWS service subscription at cost of $6,500. 911 Director Eric Raymond has requested $200,000 for CA Day upgrades, GIS and phone record recording systems. Terry Johnson suggested the IPAWS subscription be put on hold this year and revisit next year. Also, McTaggart recommended the repair of the courthouse and jail skirts to be paid out of public safety fund rather than the general fund. There was no business. There was no new business. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Johnson and seconded by Bowers to adjourn at 10:06 a.m. Motion carried by both votes. All of which is submitted. And I recommend the approval of this report. Want to go on the second one? Mr. Chairman, members of the county board and committee, whom has referred finance to take leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. The committee met at the Administration Center on October 3rd, 2019 at 9 a.m. Members present were McTaggart, Hall, Bowers, Curtis, Young, and Johnson. Marvin Stignac was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Scherr, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, County Clerk Lisa Batcher, 911 Director Eric Raymond, County Engineer Joel Moore, Sheriff Derek Hagan, EMA Director Eric Cece, Management Supervisor Chris Strait, IEDA Director Ken Berry, Myra Bunyan with Compass Insurance, Susie Warner with Homestar Insurance, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. Meeting was called to order. It was moved by Alden, second by Bowers to approve the agenda. Motion carried by both votes. There was no public comment. Myra Bunyan with Compass Insurance reported the renewals will be coming up in December, and he will schedule a meeting with Finance Manager Jill Johnson to gather information pertaining to the renewals. Susan Warner with Lone Star Insurance reports the final renewal with Health Alliance is at 7.5%. Warner also said she asked for a 2-year rate in guarantee, but due to the county's high claims, Health Alliance would not allow it this year, but will revisit the opinion next year. Warner provided the 2017 pattern notes including rate increase for 2015, 5% increase 2016, 4.29% decrease in 2017, and a 4% increase in 2018. Werner distributed the renewal information to the committee, included a comparable plan with United Healthcare. She explained the only difference is the networks. The dental rates decreased for the year, and Werner had not received a renewal rate from Kansas City Life. The dental state fair will be held November 13th and 14th. The committee suggests Werner meet with employees prior to benefit fair to discuss the two different insurance carriers, Health Alliance and United Healthcare. The poll will be taken and the committee will make decision on which carrier to select. Department heads gave their monthly report there as follows. 911 Director Eric Raymond reports he had a telecommunicator resigned on September 27th, but the replacement has already been hired. The budget was approved, then the Laney DSP would convert to the $200,000 coming from state taxes and not conditional upon grants. EMA Director Eric C.C. reported committee Lonnie Flow study is complete. Sheriff Derek Hagan reports a new correctional officer has been hired and is in the training process. IEDA Director Ken Berger gave an update on revolving loan with T&D stated 11 jobs have been created. They're looking to add potential shifts by December or January. They're also up to date on all payments to the county. Finance Manager Jill Johnson presented in the audit and gave a letter from Clifton Larson Allen. The only changes to the engagement letter reflects the addition of a new consolidated year-end financial report and additional costs for that quarterly visit. It was moved by Roger Clark and second by Sherry Johnson to prove that it was fiscal year 19 audit engagement letter. Roll call was taken, motion carried. County Clerk Lisa Patrick spoke to the committee regarding 4 individuals that have chose to deed their parcels back to the county. Total cost of reimbursement is $6,589.80. Patrick said she believes the county's new tax agent, Joseph Meyer, of associates will be negotiating with Belmere to recoup funds for the county. It was moved by Johnson and seconded by Joe Young to reimburse the landlord, deeding parcel back to their County trustees from the appropriate fund totaling $6,580.90. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Maintenance Supervisor Chris Davis addressed the committee about the hiring of a maintenance employee for snow removal, due to snow removal being handled in-house. Ray said he would prefer to hire a part-time or a second or as needed employee at $22 per hour. Last winter, the county was charged for snow removal 13 times and paid just under $40,000. As a part-time employee was hired, he called in for 5 hours at $22 per hour rate, the cost of approximately $1,430 for the winter season. It was moved by Johnson, seconded by Lawrence to hire a new employee in the maintenance department not to exceed $1,000 per year. Hourly wages will be dependent upon the need to follow union contracts up to $22 per hour once the job description is in place. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. The committee discussed the fiscal year 20 budget and reviewed the updated budget numbers provided by Finance Manager Jill Johnson. After Circuit Clerk Lisa Hines has increased their contribution to the general fund from their automation funds. During the review of the budget, Sherry Johnson noted she is not in favor of a salary increase or not to use up at a time due to pending litigation. It was moved by Johnson to keep Animal Control Administration Dr. Hughes' annual salary at $12,000. Motion failed due to lack of second. It was moved by Bowers and seconded by Bernie Cruz to increase the Animal Control Administration Dr. Hughes' annual salary Gagne. Johnson, A. McTaggart, A. Motion carried. McTaggart said the full board to review the budget at the board meeting. CC questions the anything for his IPWS request to be kept from the budget. He will provide the committee with a presentation for further impression at the next meeting. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Johnson and second by Alt to pay the claims subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. There was no full business. During the new business, county board chairman John Scher stated a tentative agreement had been reached with MOP. As there was no further business coming for the committee, it was moved by Young and seconded by Johnson. Adjourned at 10:19 a.m. Motion carried by a vote, all of which is submitted and as for approval of this report.
Okay, we have a motion to approve both reports. Is there a second? Mrs. Awful, second. Are there any questions or comments on the report? Mr. Johnson?
I just wanted, it's not in the minutes, but, when we talked about the, approval for the, $6,589.90, deeding the parcels back to the county, I had made part of my motion that the state's attorney was to look over that to see about getting that reimbursed from Ballinger, and that's not in there, and I still feel that's pretty important. Remember that?
We can make that correction. Mrs. Grohl?
I have a question about the, job description for not part-time, less than part-time maintenance employee. The minutes say 1,000 hours and the job description says 102 hours to 200 hours.
No, it says it's an expectation. It doesn't say it's a limit.
Okay. But it says not to exceed.
The motion said was not to exceed 1,000 hours. Job description says they expect it to be 100 to 200. So it could, it could exceed that expectation, I presume.
So we could go as high as 1,000 hours.
Right. The reason for staying under the 1,000 hours is the IMR
Right.
problem.
Understood.
Mr. Bard?
Yes, on this second report, to approve the fiscal year 19 audit engagement letter. It was moved by Roger Bard. Well, that was kind of hard because I wasn't at that meeting, I'm not on that committee.
We'll find out who did that.
We called you, you're just getting out of bed.
Okay.
Your alarm didn't ring.
You there.
Who did that? I don't remember. You and I both. Who did make the
I have to look at
We'll
correct that?
We'll get that correct.
Correct that, Mr. Bard, we'll call you tomorrow morning if you have a time.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Bowman?
I guess, on the job description, I don't know if we can get somebody just to come in for 22 hours, 1 hour at a time. I'd like to make a motion to amend that to a 2-hour minimum. If we call somebody in.
I'll second.
Well, he could be there 3 hours, but, you know, minimum of 2 hours pay on a call.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Call the roll on that. I guess.
All right, for a 2-hour minimum. Hours,
Yes.
Okenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis. Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes. Johnson. McGinnis.
Yes.
Apple.
Yes.
Shure.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Behrens, Bowman,
Yes.
16-1.
That motion passes. I would also add to this that I had contact with Mr. Hibben regarding the union aspect of it, and his response is the position sounds to be temporary and only is needed if it is not taking away any AFSCME bargaining unit work. I don't see how it will be a problem. It would be up to AFSCME to petition the Labor Relations Board to include the position in the bargaining unit. But it seems to be seasonal at best and not part-time. Thus, the county board need not negotiate the rate of pay, but may unilaterally set the wages. I assume no benefits would attach. I don't think there are any other steps to take beyond board action. That answers one of the questions that was brought up in regard to this as well. Mr. Bowman?
I have another question on the, ESTB board, 200,000 from the public safety tax, and, not get, or I assume we're gonna apply for conditional grants.
You assume, I beg your pardon?
Well, it says that, and not, conditional upon grants. So are they still gonna apply for the grants that we're taking it out of the 200,000 out of the public safety?
Well, the distribution of public safety money hasn't been decided yet. The committee's gonna take that up at their next meeting. But to answer your question, I would certainly hope they're gonna apply for the grants. And, Mr. Raymond was wanting to get the money, not notwithstanding, but, that's yet to be determined also. Mr. Raymond, did you wish to comment?
My plan is to still continue forward with the grants regardless of the public safety tax money. That funds are available and there's no reason for me not to apply to those.
Right, I'm not arguing that. I'd just like to see it put back in there if you get the grants in the public safety fund.
As Mr. Scher has already said, that the funds really is not conditioned. The reason the ETSB is wanting the funds to not be conditional upon those grants is the amount of funds that they are contributing to the joint dispatch, which is over $255,000 at current times, while the county and the city of Watseka are placing in $120,000 each. So ETSB last year had put in a reminder when we put in $225,000 that we may be requesting grants for the next gen 911. And we would like to see some of that public safety tax money coming to us for those purposes. For us to be continuing to add additional funds at over $255,000, we are definitely looking to make sure that we have something in our bank account because next gen is not cheap.
Do we have any other questions or comments about either one of these reports?
Are we going to, I just want, just
This is Judy?
clarification, I'm sorry, just clarification, on the motion that's on the floor, does that include approving each of those items, or are we taking separate motions on, the maintenance department and, animal control?
Those are all included in the minutes, and so the motion includes approving those, yes, unless somebody desires to separate them out.
Okay, I would like to make a motion then to separate the animal control, increase in salary for the animal control administrator.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to separate out the part about the salary for the animal control administrator. Is there a second? Mrs. Johnson. Are there any questions or comments about the motion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Kokenauer,
No.
Crow,
Yes.
Curtis, Doobie,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Awful,
No.
Sure,
No.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Barb,
No.
Behrens,
No.
Bowman,
Yes.
Bowers,
No. Lisa.
Yes.
I'd like to change my vote. please.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was from separated out. I'd like to change to yes.
You're going to yes.
What?
Okay. Alrighty. Anybody else? Okay.
Once and for all.
You better bend on down. Motion carried 11-6.
Okay. Been separated out, Mrs. Doobie.
What do you do with it?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I just wanted it to be a separate vote. I'm just a $3,000 increase with pending litigation, just kind of concerns me. Also, as far as other contracts, that's quite a jump, substantial jump, concerning me just, we have, I guess, waiting, since with the contract, a 2.5% increase for FOP, I guess if there was an increase, that it'd be more in line. And while I understand there are additional duties with the vaccination of cats, government is doing less, or doing more with less, and I would like to be consistent with that.
Okay, one point you made was that the increase is quite substantial. Are you also aware that there's been no increase for over 10 years?
Yes, I am.
Okay, if it had been increased corresponding amount during that time, it would be far more than what it is now.
Well, that could be.
So we're not even catching up close to where it maybe should be.
Does he have a contract?
A written contract?
Mhm.
No, he's a county employee.
I thought that I recalled something in our ordinance, and I've got to look this up, but I thought there was something in there about that he shall have a yearly contract.
I imagine you'd have to find that and bring it before the committee or the board, because I'm not familiar with that.
I believe that's correct. We had discussed that before. He's been expired for probably at least the last 2, perhaps 3 years. But I don't have it.
No, it's his appointment, it's not a contract. The appointment is carries forward until changed, even though he hasn't been reappointed. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I think that if anyone would want to know where that money goes, they would be wise to go to Dr. Yusuf's office and have him discuss what all is involved in the office as far as animal control. It is hours and hours of job and record keeping that goes into animal control, so it would seem that this increase would not be out of line.
Mr. Bowers.
Also, I believe that he asked for a $12,000.
That's correct.
And we reduced it to $3,000 because of the cats.
Okay, it's in, I counted, but it is in, section 6-52, Division 2, Animal Control Administrator. It says, the chairperson of the county board with the advice and consent of the chairman, with the advice and consent of the board, shall appoint an animal control administrator. The appointment shall be for 2 years. The administrator's salary and expenses shall be set annually by the county board and incorporated in the annual budget.
Very good, that's exactly what I just said. It's not a contract, it's an appointment.
for 2 years. So that would lead me to believe that you have to vote on it every 2 years. Has it been voted on?
No. But it carries forward.
But it doesn't say that. It says that it's an appointment for every 2 years, just as.
All
I suppose,
appointments carry forward until a replacement or reappointment is named.
I believe that this was discussed with the state's attorney, and that was his opinion, is that correct?
Let me re-look into that, so I didn't know this was gonna be an issue, so I'm not prepared for this discussion, but I can look into it. I'm not gonna give you an answer today, is what I'm saying.
Does anyone else have anything to offer? It's separated out, that's as far as we've gotten.
Oh. Well, I make a motion to deny or to not approve, I guess. I'm not sure how to word this. To not increase the animal control administrator salary.
All right, there's a motion on the floor not to increase the animal control administrator salary. Is there a second? Mrs. Johnson, second. Are there any questions or comments regarding this motion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Okay, clarify.
If you vote yes, you're voting to leave the salary at $12,000. If you vote no, you're saying that the salary will be increased by $3,000 as it is in the report. Everybody understand? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Crowe,
Yes.
Curtis,
No.
Doobie,
Yes.
Hughes.
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Awful,
No.
Sure,
No.
Whitlow,
No.
Young,
No.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
No.
Bard,
No.
Barons,
No.
Holman,
Yes.
Bowers,
No.
Okenauer,
Yes.
motion failed 7-10.
Okay. We'll go on with the rest of the reports. Is there any other questions or comments about either one of the two reports? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Curtis,
We're voting on both reports. Motion to approve the reports.
Doobie,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Charlie?
Awful,
Yes.
Sure,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Bard,
Yes.
Barons,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Okenauer,
Yes.
Crowe.
No.
Motion carried 16-1.
Okay, next time for the finance committee is discussion and action on the fiscal 2020 annual budget. Everybody has a copy of the budget in front of them. The purpose of this is to tentatively approve the budget and have it get posted for public view and so forth. That we can make our final vote to approve the budget at the meeting next month.
I'm not gonna read it to you. He's looking at me like I was gonna read it.
Mrs. Crowe,
I have
could you use the microphone?
I have a strong objection to taking money from 911. A few years ago, they didn't have money. We thought that that was just going to become a major problem. Now that things changed downstate with the cell phones, and we worked on that really hard. And I think mingling back and forth between this board and 911 is just the worst kind of business. And I don't think that should be done. I know we did it last year. I didn't like it then. And I think continuation of the practice is going to lead to problems in the future. I am still hearing about when 911 carried this board over 15 years ago, 20 years ago, from board members back then that were on 911. And they never got the money back, and it's taken out of one pocket to correct problems in another budget, and it's just bad business.
Does anyone else have any comments about this budget? To the comment that Mrs. Kroll made, I would add the fact that the state statute covering this specifically states this is a lawful purpose and use of the money to pay the salaries of the telecommunicators.
It may be lawful, it may be bad law, but it's still bad business.
Anybody else have any questions or comments about the budget, Mrs. Johnson?
I just saw that 10-4 adjustments, just a question, did you and Michael drop those, revenues just to be on the safe side? Was that what you're looking at, just to, okay. All right.
There were a couple areas we thought maybe might be a little optimistic. So.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? And now we can entertain a motion to post the budget. Mr. Behrens, is there a second? Mr. Young, any further questions or comments? This motion is to post the budget as you have in front of you for public view. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes. Johnson.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Okenauer.
Yes.
Crow.
No.
Curtis.
Yes.
Motion carried 16-1.
Okay, we'll go back to negotiations. Right now, we have a copy of the changes that were made in the three contracts. As I said earlier, the fair share deduction has been removed from each one because of the Supreme Court decision. The gym membership is included in each contract, providing that the county will pay up to $50 a month for personal gym membership. Also, the language has been added regarding any FOP member that discharges their firearms or in the course of their duty must submit to a drug and alcohol test. Another addition has been that the sheriff will maintain 2 qualified officers in the jail at all times, primarily during the lunch period. Right now, one of those people usually goes over to man the entrance at the courthouse while that officer is on his lunch break. All the employees, all of FOP members will be allowed to cash out their comp time during the month of November. There's a change in the sick leave benefits. the wages, there's an increase of 2.5%. I pointed out earlier, when you factor in the steps part of it, that increase can go up as high as 18%. And so I guess the question would be, looking this over, does anybody have any questions? As I said, also, the union has already ratified this agreement, so for us, they do the same. And once we do that, then we care of it. It's a 3-year contract, beginning December 1st of 2019, expiring November 30th of 2021.
I move to accept it.
The motion on the floor to ratify the agreement is seconded by Mr. Bauer. Any further questions or comments?
Question I had was, that we're giving them the opportunity to sell their comp time back, and they have to wait all the way to November.
No, only during November they can cash in their contract.
Okay, in November they have to cash it in,
They don't have to, they have the option.
or take the $100.
Right.
So is that $100 gonna be paid at overtime rate then? When they cash it in?
No, it's earned at overtime rate, so they work, for every hour they work overtime, they have the option of either getting an hour and a half of comp time or an hour and a half of pay. So when they take the comp, the 100 hours is already, if they pay that out, it'll be paid out as straight time.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Hughes. Johnson. McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Schopenhauer.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Yes.
Doobie. Motion carried 17-0.
Okay, Management Services, Mr. Behrens.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to move on to deferred management services with beg leave to submit the following reports from the matters before them. Your committee met at the courthouse on September 30th, 2019 at 9 a.m. Members present were Behrens, Alt, Peacock, Bowers, Wall, Johnson, and Bowman. Also present, county board chairman John Scher, finance manager Jill Johnson, maintenance supervisor Chris Gray, and Wendy Davis of the Township Public. The meeting was called to order, it was moved by John Zumwalt, second by Kevin Bowman to approve the agenda, motion carried by a voice vote, no public comment. During county farm discussion, John Zumwalt reported spring would be the best time of year to address the issues. Zumwalt is also looking into whether or not Walker Farms is eligible for cost share. Management Chairman Barron informed the committee we have been reimbursed for fertilizer by Walker Farms. Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake gave an update on building efficiency project. The chiller was installed last week, the remaining projects will be completed in the next few weeks. An update was given on the solar project. Barron said an email from Six Green Power was received, and they explained they would like to proceed with the small project, but Ameren is not allowing them to. A follow-up email was sent to 16 Power requesting further information. Maintenance Supervisor Chris Drake reported, Drake's report included the following. 911 center furnace and AC has been replaced. There were small issues with the pump in the administrative center. Repaired cooling tower, no hot water in the administrative center today, September 30th. Blockage in all drains in the jail. Kitchen, routine maintenance for both buildings throughout the month. Finance manager Jill Johnson presented the AT&T contract. Johnson said the rates remain the same. It was moved by Sherry Johnson, second by Paul Beacock to renew the 2-year contract with AT&T. Roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. Barron's informed the committee the electric contract is expiring and will need to be put out for bid. It was moved by Paul, second by Bowman to request bids from vendors for the electric contract. Motion carried by voice vote. For rental updates on USDA improvements. Discussion was held on the City of Waseca flooding project. The committee suggested a letter be sent to the City of Waseca specifically asking their in-depth plan is on what the situation is with railroad. Committee reviewed claims that was moved by Johnson, second by Zumwalt to pay claims subject to county board approval. Roll call vote was taken, motion carried. In old business, Johnson asked for an update from state attorney Jim Devine regarding the hiring of an independent contractor or employee with Northern Oil. Drake said he spoke with Devine, and if the individual is hired as an independent contractor, he'll have to carry full liability insurance, and the county will have to pay for their own labor. Johnson said her research shows the contractor would have to bring their own equipment and not be able, and we would not be able to give them any direction. There was no business, as there was no further business to come before the committee. It was moved by Tucson, second by Bowers, to adjourn at 9:41 a.m. Motion carried, all wishes respectfully submitted, and I move for its approval.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the management report. Is there a second? Mr. Johnson. Are there any questions or comments about this report?
There is one correction. It wasn't held at the courthouse. It was held here.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Johnson.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Omenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes. Motion carried 17-0.
Okay, tax committee and zoning committee, Mr. Whitlow.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, the committee to whom is referred tax/zoning is begged to submit the following report on the matters before them. The committee met at the admin center on October 1, 2019 at 9 a.m. Members present were Sticknot, Curtis, Awful, Bard, Doobie, and Whitlow. Okenauer was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Schuer, County Clerk Lisa Fancher, Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yergler, Treasurer Kurt Alpers, ICPHD Administrator D. Shippert, Finance Manager Phil Johnson, Lou Ellen Strong of the 377 Board, Morris and Linda Cameron of Crowville, and Wendy Davis of Time Republic. The meeting was called to order. Tax Chairman Marv Sticknot informed the committee Lou Ellen Strong with the 377 Board will be making a presentation today. It was moved by Jed Whitlow and seconded by Roger Bard to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Barb Awful and seconded by Whitlow to pay the claims subject to county board approval. A roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. There were no public comments. Lou Ellen Strong spoke on behalf of the 377 Board. The board is given to the responsibility of levying taxes each year. The funds collected from that levy are sent to local agencies and provide services and support to persons with developmental disabilities. At the current time, they are contracting with Abra and Sheldon of the ARC of Iroquois County. Strong said the agencies together serve approximately 150 individuals, and most of the individuals being served on a 24-hour basis. The 377 Board meets with the directors of each agency on at least an annual basis, and progress reports are provided quarterly. For the new budget year, Strong says the board is requesting $575,000. The department heads gave their monthly reports. County Clerk Lisa Fancher reported her office has been working on the polling place surveys for ADA compliance, and they are about 40% complete. Fancher said some of the polling places will require ramps, mats, and signage to meet the requirements. Fancher is also working with Bruce Harris to put new layers on the GIS map. These layers will include precincts, polling places, fire districts, and school districts. The estimated cost is $5,000, and Fancher said she has plans to use automation funds to cover the cost. Lastly, Fancher provided a list of 4 parcels being deeded back to the county due to the error that was made in Brian Ballinger's. The total amount to be reimbursed is $6,589.80. And either the tax committee or the finance committee should decide which fund reimbursement will be paid from. Finance manager Jill Johnson says she will also be speaking with Hope Wheeler at Clifton Larson Ellen for their opinion as well. The committee suggested the finance committee should make the final decision on which fund to be used for reimbursement. Treasurer Kurt Albers reported the second tax distribution will occur October 16th. The treasurer's office is currently working on delinquent tax notices and publishing the delinquencies in the newspaper. Supervisor of Assessments Bob Yergler reported he is getting ready to determine equalization. Yergler provided the planning and zoning report for October as follows. Building permits October 2019. Agriculture 0, residential 8, wind tower 0. Building permits FY19, residential 73, agriculture 7, wind tower 0. Building inspections October 2019, 35. Also, a zoning board of appeals meeting was held regarding the microbrewery, which is approved 4-0, and received 3 letters of recommendation. Yergler said he contracted with a new electrical inspector. Lastly, Yergler distributed the telecommunications facilities ordinance along with an application for a cellular tower hearing. The hearing is not required to go through the zoning board of appeals. Yergler strongly urged the committee to read the ordinance prior to next month's meeting and suggested State's Attorney Jim Devine attend the meeting to answer questions concerning the ordinance. Linda Tamman addressed the committee about proposed additional use for a microbrewery in Ridgeland Township and distributed information about the brewery. Mrs. Tamman said the goal was to stay small and self-distribute. It was moved by Awful and seconded by Doobie to approve the proposed conditional use for a microbrewery in Ridgeland Township. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Yergler informed Mr. Hammond and the county board meets on October 8th at 9 a.m. and the final approval will occur at that time. There were no updates on solar projects. During discussion of the levy, Yergler stated the current amount is $575 million. Yergler said he will continue to work with Johnson on the levy. There was no old business. During new business, the committee discussed changing the time of the tax committee meeting each month. It was moved by Bard and seconded by Whitlow to change the time of the tax/planning and zoning committee to 9:30 a.m. and the health committee meeting to 9 a.m. going forward. Motion carried by a voice vote. As there was no further business to come down before the committee, it was moved by Awful and seconded by Doobie to adjourn the meeting at 9:40 a.m. Motion carried by voice vote. All of which is respectfully submitted, signed by member present, and I will move for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the tax committee report, seconded by Mrs. Awful. Are there questions or comments about the report? Mr. Young.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to separate the motion concerning the microbrewery, so we have a month to do some further research on our ordinances.
Okay, there's a motion to separate out that paragraph relating to the microbrewery. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Behrens. Are there any questions or comments regarding the motion?
clarify, this is not anything against microbrewery, it's our ordinance that needs to be updated to, because we don't have anything concerning microbrewery. Yeah.
So does it separate and send back to the committee?
Yes.
So you won't have to make two separate motions then?
Anybody have any further questions or comments? Mr. Johnson?
It was in my head, so we have absolutely nothing ordinance-wise concerning microbrewery, is that what I'm understanding you're saying?
There's things in the ordinance that need to be tweaked and clarified. I've had some discussions with the state's attorney, he can offer his opinions, and once we get it separated out and have some discussion, but I think it's something that the board needs to take a good hard look at before we do this. So,
This motion is to separate and send back, right? So we probably need to have this discussion, we need to hear his comments, because if we just vote and vote's done, there's no more discussion.
I think your point is correct, Mr. McGinn. We should have a vote just to separate, and then we'll determine whether we're gonna send it back or not. Okay, Lisa? Okay, so we'll vote on the motion to separate out. Clerk will call the roll.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Apple,
No.
Sure,
Yes.
Whitlow,
No.
Young,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Behrens,
Yes.
Volman,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Okenauer,
No.
Crow,
Yes.
Curtis,
No.
Doobie,
No.
Hughes,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
motion carried 12-5.
Okay, we can discuss the matter. Mr. Devine, would you care to comment, please?
Well, I've looked at other counties' ordinances that do separately define and otherwise address microbreweries. And, you know, we want to be careful, we don't want to be dismissive of this, we want to be encouraging of businesses opening in Iroquois County, but I mean, do we want to limit the number of licenses for microbreweries out there? Do we want to have, you know, what a fee the same as what we currently have for liquor licenses, or, I mean, other counties have substantially higher fees for microbreweries in their counties. For instance, Kankakee, I believe, is $2,500, and I'm not suggesting that's what, I'm not saying Iroquois County should do that, that's up to you guys, that's up to you. But I mean, do you want to limit the number of licenses, and, you know, what do you want the property, what any kind of rules or regulations do you want to have on the property? If they have a tasting room, how do you want that governed, if at all? And we can distribute copies of what other counties have done, just, you know, for your own information, if you want to do that. This is a policy matter, not a legal matter, so that's up to the board as to how you want to do this. And I'm not trying to put a fly in the ointment, I mean, I'm very supportive of it.
Yeah, what we have in our ordinance right now under definitions talks about a definition of a manufacturer, but then when you go through the ordinance, there's nothing in there that addresses that. And that's something I think we need to do. Mr. Johnson?
Well, when I read everything that came through when they spoke at zoning about what the different things were, 100% behind it, think it is an awesome idea. But now listening to this, we don't have anything in place. We need to have that in place, not only for us, but for you guys, so that you're not finding out, you know, 3 days into it that, look, here's another hurdle to jump. We don't want that for you. But I certainly don't think that we need to look at fees that are that extraordinary. I mean, that's great for other places. I think we can be a lot more fair than that, but.
We'd really like to celebrate the county. We want to make products that are all made with Iroquois County apples, Iroquois County honey, Iroquois County hops. You know, we think it's an extraordinary place, and that's our goal. And if and when we do open a tasting room, it would be like 2 days a week, closed by 8 o'clock. We don't want to be a bar. We want to be a place where people can come and sit on the farm and have a nice glass of cider or mead or honey beer. So that's our focus, yeah, and to get our kids and grandkids involved, that's the big push. So. I have information too. I have a copy of an article that was in the Paxton, or in the Ford County Record. I have our kind of our business plan, if anybody wants that, let me know. So.
I think everybody on the board is in favor of this. I haven't spoken to anybody that isn't. And I mean, I'm very much in favor of it, but as Mrs. Johnson pointed out, I do think we need to get this thing taken care of. And the intent here would be, in essence, to table this matter till next month, or by sending it back to the committee, then we will have these things taken care of and we'll be able to get the final approval at that time. So that's kind of what we're suggesting be done.
Just what was your timetable as getting started?
We wanted to start building like
Yesterday.
next week. Yeah. We'd like to get this, it's in the back of the, it's in this Morton building where we had our kids' wedding receptions at. It's the back of the building. We want to get the cement poured and get it enclosed so we could work inside before it got cold. But we have the people all lined up to do it. We're just waiting for the permit.
I did have one question. You said in your application that the address is at 300 East and 1200 North.
384 East.
It said 300 because I drove by there and that's all cornfields.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how that got. I'm sorry.
I know where your house is,
Yes,
but I was confused by that.
Yeah, no, it's where all the farm buildings are.
Right. Mr. McGinnis?
So, what's before us now is the approval of a building permit to build the brewery. The other issue is licensing, inspections. Is that what I'm hearing? That we kind of have, it's a microbrewery, but we have two issues going on. We have, can they build, which would be not necessarily wise until you know what the microbrewery ordinance is. Is that because it went through zoning board of appeals to allow that to be on that land?
Zoning Board of Appeals is a recommendation.
Yes, recommendation to us to allow that type of business on that land. But then we need a separate microbrewery ordinance in our county code similar to the liquor ordinances. I mean, we deal with two things.
No, I think it's my understanding that this would be something that would be added to the liquor ordinance because you are dealing with liquor. They're planning to manufacture brew beer as well as a mead or wine, and those would fall under the liquor ordinance. But there isn't anything in that ordinance right now. We only have retail bars that are affected in the county. This is something new. When you look around us at various other counties, especially going north, it's fairly common, but it's coming here for the first time. And as I said, I'm very much in favor of it. I believe everyone on the board is. It's just a matter we need to get ourselves lined up right.
So they would still have to come back potentially to apply for a liquor license.
Correct. They will have to have a liquor license
So
as a part of this.
to proceed, so what we're discussing right now is not to approve a liquor license, but to approve the rezoning
Well,
of that land.
part of that though also encompasses when you're manufacturing, how much you're gonna manufacture, how the hours you're gonna be open, and many things of that sort, so.
That falls under the liquor ordinance.
Yeah, I think.
Not the rezone of the land.
The rezoning of the land, I think, is not an issue, but they do go hand in hand.
Yes. So we could allow them to build.
To start building. Yeah.
Because we don't have the
I would defer to the state's attorney's
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
We don't have our
I think
TTD
these
yet, and we don't have our state license yet either.
I think as long as there's that specific understanding, I have no objection to that, knowing that there's going to be a tweak for a specific microbrewery ordinance to be passed by this board. So if you want to allow them to proceed with their construction, knowing that next month there will be some kind of a new ordinance regarding microbreweries, I'm fine with that as long as we have that understanding.
Mrs. Shepherd?
I also want the county board to be aware that the health department is working with them on issues for, waste disposal. So obviously, there are some issues with, yeast and sugar in a septic is gonna grow, right? So there are special, land application, things that have to be worked out. But we're working on that, but it is not going fast because this is new to our health department. We have not had to, approve a septic for something like this in Iroquois County. This is new to us too. So we're working diligently with the state, super supportive of them. We want to work with them. We think this is great for the county. But these things don't we don't get magical answers in a day. The waste, whether it's pumped and hauled off, whether it's land applied, we're still working through all that with them. Trying to get answers. Brian Wheeler has been in contact with state agencies, and has provided them with the information, as we're receiving the information, but they're still looking into it too at the state level, so we're working with them. So this is not a quick process, unfortunately. I wish it was for them. I wish I could say to them, yeah, go ahead with your plan and just go. That it is not a quick process. And not because we don't want it to be quick, we want it to be quick, it's just not.
Well, I think that is a companion to the other part that we brought up today, but what you're doing with the health department is not anything affected by the board's ordinances or whatnot. That's health department ordinances and matters.
Well, the health department may need to come back to the county and ask for an ordinance change.
That's correct.
Because we enforce the county ordinances. That's our job. So if what I'm saying to you is there's a possibility that we would need an ordinance change. Do you see what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Yeah. So it kind of does involve the county board.
Does that answer some of your question, Mr. McGinnis?
Yeah, there's multiple pieces. The first piece that has to happen is the approval of the rezone of the land.
It's not a rezoning, let's clarify this, it's not a rezoning, it's a conditional use.
Conditional use,
Yes.
but.
And you're just allowing them to start starting a retail business on an A1 zoning.
Yeah.
That's all this really the process is.
That's the process.
And they were informed up front when they applied that there was gonna be changes to the ordinance because we did have nothing in place for fees or licensing or anything like that. So they're aware of all that going in. My suggestion is, it's up to the board, but to say that you're gonna approve changes to the liquor ordinance and have it all done and approved next month, I know how that operates and it's not gonna happen. Because there's gonna be debate on fees, there's gonna be debate on their capacity of gallons they can have, how much they can brew in a year, that kind of thing. And that's gonna be up for debate and research. So this is not going, I don't think it would happen in a month.
It would be optimistic.
It'd be very optimistic. So, I'm just throwing that out there, knowing how ordinance changes work as far as debate and concerns and research goes. But all they have applied for right now is to have a conditional use to start the process and starting a business on an A1 zoning. And then obviously the liquor ordinance is separate from the conditional use ordinance. And if you want to, obviously tweak that to start talking about what the restrictions are going to be on a microbrewery and what the fees are and all that, that's going to be a debated issue. I can see that coming down the road. So, I'm just throwing that out there, knowing that get this all done and close it down and have an optimistic view for next month. Might be, like I said, might be very optimistic at this point.
I think it'll be some time before we can start production because the state has lots of hoops to jump through as far as licensing. we have a lawyer on retainer in Urbana that's doing just that, because it's complicated, so, yeah, what we'd really like to do would be to have permission to begin to build, so.
Yeah, I just retired from farming and, made some expenses.
That's another thing, we sold our
We got
equipment, we
sales,
sold
we got
our
equipment
train.
sales, and we got
We,
a lot of expenses.
we'd like to spend this money this year.
Before the end
yeah,
of the year, you know,
for
so.
tax reasons, I'm sure any farmer here can understand that, so.
Mr. Bard?
Yes, as far as the ordinance, would we have to have an estimate of the amount of product that they would be intending to produce so that
Yes,
you go from point A to point B, and if you go to the point B, it falls into another category?
that's what the state does, you have a certain license you apply for a certain limit, and you have to stay under that limit for that license. If you do more than that, you have to buy way more expensive license. So we would, and I don't remember what that limit is right off the top of my head.
The state regulates microbreweries and all that.
Yes.
Or you can change the law.
And there's a separate license for the mead as opposed to the beer, and the cider that's above a certain percent alcohol is a separate license, and, you know, it's complicated.
We've looked at some of the ordinances from some of the surrounding area, and they're all different. And that's part of what we're gonna have to sort through and determine what we wanna do here and what's best for us. And that doesn't mean that what we put in place can't be amended at some point in time also. That certainly is a possibility. We always have that option, but we need to get something in place before we get too far down the road. I guess my thought is that if a motion was made to allow them to start construction with the understanding and provision that we're gonna be revising our ordinance, liquor ordinance to include microbreweries and so forth, then, you know, I would probably support that. Mr.
Second.
What did you say, Sherry? I didn't allow this. What do you want your motion to be?
Mr.
So we can
Bell?
go ahead and start construction with the understanding that things might change with the different ordinances that have to come up, but that'll get them started for the season.
Yep, I want to compliment him, you gave an excellent presentation at our committee meeting, and, I just could tell it was, you know, your heart's into it, what you want to do. And what Sherry says, that we need to get the particulars lined up, you know, to protect you, protect us, just so we know really what's going on, and there won't be a problem down the road, so we don't want that, but presentation was excellent.
Well, thank you.
Do you feel like that motion is acceptable, Mr. Devine?
Yeah, that's fine.
So we have a motion on the floor, we have a second. Do you need to have the motion read back, or does everybody understand what the motion is? Guess everybody understands it, so the clerk will call the roll, please.
Awful.
Sheila?
Sure.
Yes.
Willow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt. Bard.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Holman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Omenauer.
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Curtis. Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
16-0, motion carried.
Mrs. Tamman, you're cleared to start production.
All right.
Start
Okay, thank you.
production.
Thank you very much.
I think they'll have a lot more.
Okay, now we will go to the remainder of the report. Are there any other questions or comments on the remainder of the report? Mrs. Crowe?
Is the, cellular tower that's been applied for, is that for the Milford?
Nope.
Nope. Have you gotten one for?
Nope, haven't heard a word from Melford, except from the village of Melford, that's all I've heard from them.
Okay. Is the date for this one set?
It goes through the committee meeting next month on Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month at 9:30.
Where is that one going up on?
On 49, south of the Woodland and Argus Lab.
Are there any Any other questions or comments regarding the rest of the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call a roll, please.
Sure.
Yes.
Whitlow. Young.
Yes.
Seymour. Alt.
Yes.
Barnes. Behrens. Bowman. Bowers. Omenauer. Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis. Doobie. Hughes. Johnson. McGinnis.
Yes.
Motion carried 16-0.
Okay, House Committee, Mr. Whitlow.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee to whom the referred health would take leave to submit the following report on the matters before them. Your committee met at the Admin Center on October 1, 2019 at 9:42 a.m. Members present were Alto, Whitlow, Curtis, Bard, and Derby. Kevin Coconut was absent. Also present, County Board Chairman John Schuler, ICPHD Administrator D. Shipper, Animal Control Director Dr. Yusuf, Finance Manager Jill Johnson, 911 Director Eric Raymond, and Udi Davis of Time Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by Whitlow and seconded by Bard to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. The committee reviewed the claims. Dan Newby noted an overcharge in the animal control billing. Animal Control Dr. Yusuf said he will look into the overcharge and report back to the committee. Also, Newby suggested the Animal Control Warden report to ICOM when they leave for a call. This would eliminate any errors in mileage reporting. Bard interrupted Newby, calling for a privileged motion, which requires adherence to the agenda. Bard stated Dr. Yusuf is being interrogated and hassled each month. And if he has further questions, he should meet with Dr. Yusuf in his office to review his records. It was moved by Ernie Curtis and seconded by Bard to pay the claim, subject to county board approval. The roll call vote was taken. Whitlow aye, Curtis aye, Bard aye, Dewey nay. Awful aye, motion carried. Animal Control Director Dr. Yusuf gave his report of September, which included 9 dogs picked up and brought to the clinic and 3 bats. The bats tested negative for rabies. There are plenty of forms on hand for cat registration with tags if we needed to be ordered. There were no public comments. ICPHD Administrator D. Shipper reported the Comprehensive Health Protection Grant, which is a 7-grant bundle was approved and signed. The new environmental health director is doing very well and is creating relationships with businesses in the county, Iroquois County. Shipper said she will bring him to the next health committee meeting. Shipper distributed the program summary report to the committee. Temporary permits have increased due to the recent county festivals. There have been no positive samples for West Nile. The three rabies cases were all negative. The health department provided Narcan training, and the press releases were for head lice prevention and food safety education. There was no old business, there was no new business. If there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Whitlow and seconded by Bard to adjourn at 10:18 a.m., all of which is respectfully submitted, signed by the members present, and I would move for its adoption.
It's a motion on the floor to approve the Health Committee report. Is there a second? Mr. Young, second. Are there any questions or comments regarding the Health Committee report? Seeing none, the clerk will call a roll. Sorry, excuse me.
I just have a comment, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Where it says the new environmental health director is doing very well. I have had several people out in the community stating how he is making it very difficult to hold family, more or less gatherings, festivals, making it very difficult for them to even have one. Now, I did not make this meeting, I apologize, but I do see where he's going to be attending the next meeting, and I will probably address him there. I think we need to do something different. I understand the state has their laws, I get it. But, you know, not having family festivals and doing things we've done for years, I guess a lot of people have brought that to my attention, so I'd just like to make that statement.
Mr. Shepherd has a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wheeler is upholding the county ordinances that are approved by this county board. He's not out there not letting people have family festivals. That is not true. He goes to the family festivals, they inspect people who are serving food to the public. If they're a not-for-profit business, they're not charged a permit fee, a temporary food license. If they are a for-profit business and they're selling food, they are charged a temporary food license. We understand that people don't want to pay for those. That's in the county ordinance. If you would like that changed, then that's up to the county board to change that ordinance. But Ryan Wheeler's job is to uphold the county ordinance, and that is what he's doing.
I'm not saying he's not upholding his job. And I do agree that if we need to change the ordinance, then yes, we need to do that. I don't have a problem with that. But his attitude pointed out to me from some other residents of the county has not been very acceptable. That's how it was put to me. So we'll discuss this further. It's not, I don't need this. Yeah.
Go back to revised ordinance.
Exactly. So.
My suggestion would be, if you have concerns, come over to the health department, sit down with Ryan, talk to him. If you're not happy with him following that, then come see me.
Sure. I'd like to put that on the agenda then for the next meeting, the health department meeting, to look at the ordinance.
Mrs. Crowe?
I'm just curious, define family festival, what is it? I mean, is that like a family reunion in the park pavilion, or is that, I don't know, what is that? I'm trying to figure out his application.
Quite honestly, I need to review the ordinance, whether it says that or not, it's ought to be, and see what's happening with those, because that's the info I'm getting back from people in the community. If we can't even have anything at the park, we can't even bring in, I don't know if that's, I gotta look at the ordinance, so don't jump on me just yet.
Well, you need to know
So
what you're talking
here's
about.
what I'm getting, they can't even have a family get together at the park and bring their food. And have
Well, of
family
course
food.
they can. We don't regulate private things,
Okay.
private family things. That's not even
Okay.
realistic.
Just what I'm getting, so I will look at the ordinance and see where we can go with it. That's not a problem.
Kevin, we can put that on the agenda, that's no problem, but I would say this to you. If you want to be specific in these allegations and naming the names and incidents, that will go a long ways towards getting something done. Otherwise, it lacks credibility just to say some people are complaining.
Okay, sure.
You understand what I'm saying? Anybody can make those kind of statements, and I think it needs to be backed up with some kind of evidence or reason, because I am familiar with one situation, and quite frankly, I think the individual there was way off base, but it was a personality problem that he has, but I'm not gonna get into that here either, but I just think anything that's brought before the committee needs to be specific in nature in order to have some credibility with it. Okay. Okay, anything else on the health committee, Mrs. Johnson?
I just have, I'm reading that about the overcharge for animal control. Do they have a form that they fill out that says starting and ending mileage for their stuff, or how does that work? Do we have a check and balance for that, basically?
I think Jill Johnson can answer that, but
Yeah,
I can.
Dr. Yusuf provides the forms that are turned in by Erica and Linda, and they do state the mileage and where they start from and where they end from, if I remember correctly. And I do have copies of that in my office.
Okay, so it's like a starting and an ending mileage?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered, I wasn't clear. Thank you.
And regarding the error that was noted, it's been corrected and everything has been handled as far as getting that done, so that was good. Mrs. Doobie should be commended for finding that error. And with some of the other things that went into it that maybe caused some difficulty, but nevertheless, that's what it is, it is. Mr. Bard?
Yes, as far as mileage is concerned, I talked to Dr. Yusuf and Erica over at his office, and she may get a call that, say, is 8 miles away, except that when she gets there, the person making the call said, well, I saw a dog running around out in this field. She stated that sometimes she has to drive around maybe one section or a section and a half just to find the dog. That all goes into the mileage, so rather what sounds like should be 16 miles might be 20 or 21 miles. And this is one thing to be considered in these mileage costs.
That's a point well noted, thank you. Any other comments or questions about the Health Committee report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Willow,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt, Barb,
Yes.
Behrens,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Kopenauer,
No.
Crow,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Doobie,
Yes.
Hughes, Johnson, McGinnis, Sure.
Yes.
Motion carried 15-1.
Judicial and Public Safety, Mr. Barron.
Mr. Chairman, and members of the county board, your committee meeting was referred to judicial and public safety with beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. Your committee met at the courthouse on October 2nd, 2019, 3 p.m. Members present were Barron, Dukoff, Arson, John Cronin, Chad McGinnis were absent. Also present, Sheriff Eric Hagan, Probation Supervisor Bob Coon, and one Director Eric Raymond, Planning Board Chairman John Shure, and Lynn Davis with the Family Public. Meeting is called to order. It's moved by Dukoff and seconded by Barr to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. Sheriff Derek Kagan's monthly report for August account included. Patrol had 840 calls for service for the month of August. Patrol had 705 calls for service for the month of September. Year-to-date calls for service 7,050. 2018 year-to-date was 6,794. Booked in 58 prisoners for the month of August. Booked in 54 prisoners for the month of September. Year-to-date booked in 510. Average daily population in August 30. Average daily population in September 30. Year-to-date average population 31. Year-to-date average length of stay 24 days. Overtime in jail for August was 32 hours on the schedule. Overtime in jail for September was 194 hours on the schedule. Part-time hours 189 for August and September. New correction officer was hired on September 27 and will attend the academy after the first of the year. Probation supervisor Bob King reviewed probation and court services activity report for September with the committee. Committee reviewed First Floor Police and Angeles monthly report total of $49,466.20 was received in fines and fees. 911 Director Eric Raymond distributed ETSP report for September. There was no old business, there was no new business. Committee reviewed the claims. It was moved by Jed Whitlow and seconded by Steve Hughes to pay the judicial and public safety claims subject to county board approval. Roll call vote was taken. Motion carried. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Dukoff and seconded by Whitlow to adjourn the meeting at 3:15 p.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all which is respectfully submitted and I move for its adoption.
Motion on the floor to approve the Judicial and Public Safety report. Is there a second? Mr. Bard, seconds. Are there any questions or comments about the report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Young,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Bard,
Yes.
Behrens,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Kopenauer,
Yes.
Crow, Curtis, Doobie,
Yes.
Hughes, Johnson, McGinnis,
Yes.
Shure,
Yes.
Whitlow,
Yes.
16-0.
IT Committee, Mr. Young.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee who was referred IT with beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. Your committee met at the Administrative Center on October 3rd, 2019 at 10:30 a.m. Members present were Young, Bauer, Sure, McTaggart, and Sticknott were absent. Also present was Finance Manager Jill Johnson, 911 Director Eric Raymond, County Clerk Lisa Fancher, Michael Tabor with Area Wide, and Wendy Davis with the Plains Republic. The meeting was called to order. It was moved by John Sure and seconded by Paul Bowers to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. There were no public comments. The committee reviewed the county's software licenses. Michael Tabor with Area Wide provided an updated quote for licensing at $39,501.08. It was moved by Sure and seconded by Bowers to approve the software licenses at a cost of $39,501.08. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Tabor discussed the security awareness training with the committee. The annual cost for the training is $2,376. County Clerk Lisa Fancher expressed concern that departments are not utilizing the service as much as they should be. Tabor suggested a weekly on-site technician can speak to the department heads about the training. It was moved by Bowers and seconded by Sure to continue with the security awareness training at a cost of $2,376. The roll call vote was taken, motion carried. The NetWatch email security was also reviewed. The updated quote for the service is $402.48. It was moved by Sure and seconded by Bowers to approve the NetWatch email security services. A roll call vote was taken, motion carried. Tabor informed the committee he researched other vendors for redesigning the county's website. Civic Plus offered a quote of $19,171.91 for a website redesign plus a recurring fee of $5,897.08 for support and updates. Tabor also discussed the comparison pricing from switching to Illinois Century Network from AT&T and said there will be a substantial monthly savings to the county. As there was no further business to come before the committee, it was moved by Sure and seconded by Young to adjourn at 11:27 a.m. Motion carried by a voice vote, all of which is respectfully submitted and moved for its adoption.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the IT committee report, seconded by Mr. Hall. Are there any questions or comments regarding the report? Mr. Bard.
Yes, what is the reason for the redesigning of the county's website?
It's woefully out of date. There's an awful lot of content on it that is out of date, is unnecessary, taking up space.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something we need to make improvements so we can get other information posted there that is current and appropriate to the residents in the county. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Kopenauer.
Yes.
Crow. Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie. Hughes. Johnson. McGinnis.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Motion carried 15-1.
Highway Committee, Mr. Hall.
Mr. Chairman and members of the county board, your committee, whom was referred to Transportation and Highway, would beg leave to submit the following report on matters before them. The committee met at the Iroquois County Highway Building on October 4th at 9 a.m. Members present were all Young, Hughes, Stumwall, Crow, and Johnson. Ted McGinnis was absent. Also present, County Engineer Joel Moore, County Board Chairman John Sure, and Wendy Davis with the Times Republic. Meeting was called to order. There was no public comment. It was moved by Joe Young and seconded by Steve Hughes to approve the agenda. Motion carried by a voice vote. Claims and finance report for the month were reviewed. subject to the county board approval. The roll call was taken, motion carried. County highway, $75,258. County bridge, $21,546. County matching, $4,078. TBP, $164,685. County MFT, $70,258. Township MFT, $71,973. Fourth, update the committee on the Ashland slab, stating the work should be completed by the end of the month. More reported work will begin soon on two bridges, one in Bethel Township and one on Narva. Control Bridge closure in Milford. During the new business, Moore said he was approached by Public Services to waive the local vendor, and Moore told them he has no issue with allowing their trucks on most roads. However, it appears some of their issues are on township roads. A representative from Republic Service will be attending a road commission meeting and will speak with individual road commissioners. During old business, Moore informed the committee the truck bid from last month was higher than previous years, but everything else was comparable. As there was no further business coming before the committee, it was moved by Young and seconded by Hughes to adjourn at 9:24 a.m. Motion carried by a vote, all of which is submitted. I recommend approval of this report.
The motion on the floor to approve the highway committee report, is there a second? Mr. Whitlow, are there any questions or comments regarding this report? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Alt.
Yes.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Obenauer.
Yes.
Crowe. Curtis. Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes. Johnson. McGinnis.
Yes.
Stewart. Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
16-0.
Okay, next we come to claims. Everyone has a copy of the claims in front of them. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Curtis, second by Mr. Alt. Are there any questions or comments regarding the claims? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll, please.
Bard.
Yes.
Behrens.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Obenauer.
Yes.
Crowe.
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Hughes. Johnson.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Whitlow.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Zumwalt.
Yes.
Alt.
Yes.
16-0.
Okay, next is appointments. There's a list of the appointments in front of you. Is there a motion to approve the appointments? Mr. Zumwalt, second. Mr. Kokenauer, are there any questions regarding the appointments? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Is there any old business to come before the board this morning? Is there any new business to come before the board? Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Curtis, seconded by Mr. Bowman. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. We're cleared for departure.